I'm Jenna Miscavige. I was born and raised in Scientology. I left when I was 21 years old and wrote a book about it. My uncle, David Miscavige, is the leader of Scientology, and this is my YouTube channel. Hey guys, I hope you all had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I meant to make some recipe videos before Thanksgiving, but I never got around to it. Everything wound up being so rushed. My kids had Friendsgiving the day before Thanksgiving, which was amazing and magical. But then the next morning we went to grab a bite to eat on actual Thanksgiving Day, and we met up with Dallas and we all went to see Wicked together, and then we had to rush home and make the meal really quickly, and it was yummy and delicious, but time is flying so fast. It's already like before Christmas time, and as soon as I'm done making this video, me and the kids are gonna go get a Christmas tree and decorate, and everything is just going by so fast. All right, so today I am coming at you with a question, and it is from Julie Trask 7497, and she asks, Jenna, have you ever considered changing your surname? I thought this was a great question, and the answer is yes. I definitely have considered changing my surname at different points throughout my life. I remember when I was a kid first learning how to spell my name, and it was like Miscavige, and every time I write it out, I still do that, Miscavige. And as a little kid, I remember my initials were Jam because my middle name is Ashley, and actually my first name is Jennifer, but I've only always been called Jenna. In fact, my dad said, I want to name her Jennifer, and my mom said, okay, but only if we call her Jenna. So when the name Jennifer gets called at like the doctor's office or something like that, I like often don't even hear it. But yeah, I've always been called Jenna, except my older brother, Justin, he always called me Jenny when I was a kid. And my Uncle Dave called me Jenny. And I kind of liked it. I thought it was like, I don't know, like more familial and sweet. But those are the only two people. I remember when I was in the classroom at Clearwater, they call roll call at the beginning of class. So they would be like, Jenna Miscavige. And then in the breaks between course time, like at lunch when we were all waiting to go back into the course room, some Scientology public would come up to me and be like, oh, so you're part of the Scientology royal family. And I never knew what to say. Like, it was kind of awkward. Like, nobody ever said that when I was a kid growing up at the Scientology boarding school that I grew up at. But it was like, for some reason, people would always ask me this when I was in Clearwater, and I just never know what to say. Like, what do you say? Yes, I'm in the royal family. Or do you say, no, the royal family is not a thing in Scientology? And it was just always asked in such a weird way that I didn't know what to say. It just made me feel awkward. But it wasn't to the point where I didn't like it yet. But as I got older, things started to change a little bit because, for instance, I had really bad acne when I was a teenager. And I remember my Aunt Shelley would tell me that I needed to fix my skin because it was bad PR for the family. And if I didn't fix it, then I'm going to need to change my name. And just a lot of other things would go on. Like, I would be constantly interrogated by like the most senior executive on the base. And it was all because of my name. It was all because of who I was, my family relation. And as these sort of downsides to having my name crept up more and more, especially when me and Dallas were trying to get married, and we were not allowed to because my parents weren't in Scientology anymore, and they thought that my parents would cause a big stink about it. It just came to a point when I was about 16, 17, 18 that I was like, I just wish I could change my name. And to be honest, it was one of the reasons why I couldn't wait to be married. It was because every time they called roll in a classroom. Everyone would look at me, and it was always used against me. I was always told, you think that you can do this because you're Jenna Miscavige, or you only think you can get away with doing this thing because of who you are. Or even when I would be getting interrogated, all the questions I got were oriented around me using my name for an unfair advantage. And it was just something that I was constantly accused of. And it was something that I was constantly told that I was basically not good enough for, that I was not worthy, that made me feel like I had no inherent value, that my value only came from my name, which was only valuable because of my uncle. And that's a hard thing to be told when you're a kid over and over and over again. And that voice sticks with you throughout your life. It's almost like I wasn't being told that by my parents, but I wasn't around my parents. I was being told that by everybody else who wasn't my parents. So when Dallas and I finally got married in Scientology when I was 18, I was really happy to finally change my name. I was sort of happy to be rid of the association, although it was kind of a trick. I wasn't really ever rid of the association. They still treated me in the same way. When I first started speaking out about Scientology, I still used my Miscavige name because it was valuable for that purpose. But slowly, but in every other way, my name was Jenna Hill. And, at first it was all good to have this new name and new identity. But as years went by, and leading up to my divorce, I sort of feel that Jenna Hill was sort of a different person than Jenna Miscavige. And I remember when I finally got divorced, I got in contact with a friend who I hadn't been in contact with for years. And I remember her telling me, like, you're a completely different person than you were. Like, you're completely cowed, you're acting all nice and sweet and shy, and you second guess yourself in every single way. And she's like, this is not how you are. This is not who you are. And she was right. In the family that I was a part of, my opinionated thinking or my feistiness or my confidence or the things that inherently made me me were not appreciated. Me speaking out about Scientology was something that was sort of like the bane of the Hill family's existence. And the things that Scientology would tell them about me to make me look like a bad person sort of stuck as things in their mind that they would sort of make passive, snide comments about over the years. And that would just be allowed to slide, because even though I would tell my husband that this wasn't okay, it made me uncomfortable, he was always telling me just to be the better person and just kind of to suck it up, which is fine and understandable in many situations, but it became too much. It came to a point where I wasn't comfortable at family gatherings, and I became very resentful about it. And normally I would be somebody who would stand up for myself. I always had been the vast majority of my life. But any form of standing up for myself was seen as being an angry woman. I feel like there's a little bit of a different culture here in San Diego, or maybe it's just in this family, but it's like very, very high on the priority list is appearing nice and friendly without having any real depth, without actually being nice and friendly, without caring. Everybody's sort of like, oh, hey, how are you? But if you start answering their question, they're like, oh, well, I didn't want to know that. And again, not everybody is like that, but it is very much the case in my ex-husband's family. There's a lot of being nice and being sweet and not a lot of depth. And I think there was just a lot of lingering bitterness about everything that had gone down with Scientology and them wanting to disconnect from us or wanting to convince us to stay in Scientology that never was really addressed directly and resolved, and so never really forgiven and never really taken responsibility for. One time over the years, I was at my dad's house and we were cooking something, and I asked him, I was like, would you ever think of changing your last name? And my dad said, he was like, no, absolutely not. This is my name. This is my name before it was Dave's name. And he just happens to be a person in the family. He's not the one who controls the narrative about it in every way, despite having tried to. And then my dad sort of shared with me many of the ways that the Miscavige name was used against him in Scientology. But I thought it was interesting because, you know, in the end, this is my dad's little brother. He was born first, and he has all of the history of the family and knows the many people on all of the different sides. And, you know, for him, the Miscavige name isn't just Dave. It's about his aunts and uncles. It's about growing up and things like that. And that really kind of inspired me, because the truth is that this is my name just as much as it's Dave's name. And I was born with this name because it's my father's name. And it is the first name I had. And it is my name. And it is the name that I built my identity with. And it's the name I had when I was sort of the truest version of myself when I was a kid. And so when I got divorced, it was very important for me to change my name back to what it was, because it's sort of a new era of independence or coming back to being myself. And that was something that was really important to me. So not only did I change my name back to my maiden name, Miscavige, but I also got it approved through the court that I could change my first name to Jenna, because I don't know who the F Jennifer is, but I do not respond to that name, and I do not identify with it at all. I've just always been called Jenna. And in addition to that, one of the concerns I had with changing my name back was that I didn't want to have a different last name to my kids. I mean, these are my children who I raised, who I carried in my belly, and the loves of my life. And so actually part of my divorce was that their name would be Miscavige Hill. So I actually have to go to the courthouse and actually make these changes, which is kind of a pain in the butt, because it means I would have to change my passport and my global entry and all of this stuff. So I haven't actually done it yet, but it's all basically court approved and ready to go when I'm ready to do it. Another reason why I keep my name is because the Miscavige side of my family was really the only side of my family that I felt close to. My grandma was on that side, and she was just very loving and caring towards me. My aunt was on that side, and that was the only side of my family that actually felt like a family. And despite many people on that side of the family having many character flaws, there are a lot of characters, and I appreciate that. I appreciate characters, and I feel like they enrich my life. And hearing stories about people from my dad when he was growing up, and just the people who I've known, they've definitely added to my life, some in bad ways and some in good ways, but they're part of who I am. When I was on my book tour, my book was translated into many languages, and one of those languages was Polish. And so on my book tour, the publisher in Poland brought my ex-husband and my 2 kids to Poland, and Miscavige is a Polish name, and my ancestors on that side of the family are Polish, and it's mostly from my grandfather, and his brothers and his parents would refer to Poland as the old country. And so when I went there, it was really special. It's a beautiful, beautiful country. And it was just amazing to be there. I was always told when I was little, and I don't know if this is actually true, but my great something grandpa was a famous poet in Poland, and his name is Adam Miscavige. But in Poland, they say, like, when they say it's spelled this weird way, because I think the name Miscavige was changed to be more easily pronounceable, but his name is Adam Miscavige. But in Poland, it literally sounds like Miscavige. But he was a famous poet in Poland, and there's a big statue of him there. And we got to see that, me and my kids and my ex-husband. And my ex-husband Dallas would always say that everyone in Poland looked like me. And so that was really special, and it was something that made me feel a little bit closer to my roots and my name, and that, you know, this thing with my uncle isn't the whole story. It's just the latest part of the story. But there's hundreds of years that came before that. And I think that a big part of feeling like you belong in this world and feeling like you're a part of something is knowing your heritage, is knowing your family. And that's not something that I had a big opportunity to learn about when I was a little kid. And so the more I learn about it now that I'm out of Scientology, the more I see my dad's photos from when he was younger of his family and all of that kind of thing. It just makes me feel like I understand more where I came from. There's a few other reasons why I feel like I identify with my Miscavige part of the family. And one of those reasons is that there's music in the blood. I love music so much. My grandfather was a musician. My dad is a musician. And I love singing and playing the piano. My son, Archie, he plays multiple instruments. And my daughter also plays 2 instruments. And just last night, like, Archie was in the living room playing his trumpet that my grandpa gave him. And Winnie was playing her saxophone, and they were playing Christmas music. And it is so magical to me that that is part of my life. And after they were playing, like, I sat down at the piano with my daughter, and we both played this, like, Taylor Swift song that we really love. Gosh, what's it called? It's called All Too Well, and it's both of our favorite songs right now. I tend to steal favorite songs from her. Although I liked Taylor Swift way before her. But yeah, she found this song first, and we both know how to play it on the piano. And it's just really sweet that we get to do that together. It's really special. It makes the world magical, and it makes our relationship more special. And that's something that we got from that side of the family. Another big thing that I feel like I inherited from that side of the family is a really, really deep love of cooking and nurturing and making good food, eating good food, and trying new things. And it took a little while for my daughter to come around, but both of my kids are like, they try all different types of foods. I mean, we've been to many countries together, like Japan, Poland, France, all sorts of places, and they eat the food there, and it's one of the things we most look forward to. And they're both decent cooks. I mean, the other week they made cinnamon rolls on their own without any help. And I'm most proud that they actually waited the 2 hours for the dough to rise, but they did it without me helping them. And so they love making food for their friends. I love making food for them. I love nurturing my friends and family, and that's just a big part of who I am. And I can see that also running through my kids' veins as well. And it's a big part of who my dad is, and my grandfather, and my grandma, and I love that. I love that part of myself, and I love that part of my life, and I love that part of my kids. And that's just something that I feel like comes from that side of the family. Every year, my great-grandmother on my dad's side, at Easter and at Christmas, she would send packages. On Easter, she would make these chocolate-covered peanut butter balls that were so delicious. And then at Christmas, she would send us pizzelles because my great-grandfather is from Italy, and pizzelles are the most yummy, delicious cookie, and it's one of the best memories I have around Christmas. I would only see my dad once a week, but when we would go to his apartment, they would be there, and my kids love them. I make them every year now. I'm going to do a video with the recipe and with where you can get a pizzelle iron, but they are the best, most delicious, my favorite cookies in the whole wide world. And I secretly judge people's character based on whether or not they like the pizzelles. Also, my dog loved the pizzelles. They were his favorite food too. He's gone now, but it was a big, like, part of him being part of our family because he loved the pizzelles more than anybody. So to answer the question, no, I will not be changing my surname from Miscavige to anything else. My name is Jenna Miscavige, and that's the name I was born with. And I'm proud to have it, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make it into a force for good instead of evil. But I will not relinquish my name for somebody who is not a good person. And I will use it in every way I can to counteract his badness with goodness. And I will continue to explore my history and learn about my family and instill the things in my kids that I believe are important and make a beautiful life. And I will try very hard for the rest of my life to get that little voice out of my head that has weaponized the name Miscavige, my name, against me and used to hurt and belittle me. And I will continue with my therapy, with my mental gymnastics, with hard work and everything I can to change that little voice in my head that says that my only value is because of this name, but not because of me, because of someone else. I will never stop working on that no longer being the case and getting rid of that voice in my head and using it for something good. All right, guys. Well, I hope that answered the question, and I look forward to doing more Christmassy content. And I hope you guys all are having a wonderful weekend. Don't forget to check out Sins of Scientology on YouTube. And if you haven't read my book already, you can find it on Amazon. It's called Beyond Belief, My Secret Life Inside Scientology and My Harrowing Escape. All right, guys, have a wonderful day. See you again soon.